Well, I think one of the things you can do is make it bigger per child. I think we'd love to see it at a higher dollar value. And again, President Trump and I have proposed that. I mean, look, I'd love to see a child tax credit that's $5,000 per child, but you of course have to work with Congress to see how possible and viable that is. We need to reward the things that we think are good and punish the things that we think are bad. If you're making $100,000, $400,000 a year, and you've got 3 kids, you should pay a different, lower tax rate than if you're making the same amount of money and you don't have any kids. It's that simple.
I will protect and expand the child tax credit.
They're coming for the child tax credit. And they're doing so in order to implement more tax cuts for corporations. Now, to be fair to Trump and Vance, we're gonna wait and see how they react to what congressional Republicans are proposing. But we have some insight into what they want to do to ordinary Americans in order to justify massive tax cuts for corporations. Trump wants to lower the corporate tax rate from 21% to 15%, and he wants to extend the tax cuts for personal income taxes, most of which do benefit the rich, but some working class people got a little bit of a tax break as well. So what are they looking to do away with in terms of cutting some of the deductions that ordinary Americans get to benefit from in order to increase deductions for corporations? Well, let's get to those details. According to ProPublica, Republicans are internally working on proposals to pay for these tax cuts so the wealthiest among us can enjoy the tax cuts while single parents and poor families pay even more. And I'm not even kidding, this is literally what they're thinking about doing. So first up, ending tax breaks for people raising kids on their own. The provision would eliminate the head of household filing status to collect almost $200 billion more dollars in taxes over a decade from single parents and other adults caring for dependents on their own. The head of household status was created in the 1950s under the rationale that single parents should have a lighter tax burden. Eliminating it would affect millions of Americans, obviously largely women. By the way, I should note that the 2017 tax cuts that Donald Trump implemented cost $2 trillion. So they're looking to save $200 billion by doing away with the child tax credit for single moms.
Yeah, these tax cuts are likely to cost over $4 trillion, the new ones. So guys, the child tax credit was one of the most popular programs under Joe Biden. He did it for the first year. And in fact, there's a good theory that his numbers dropped after they took away the child tax credit, because it was so popular and it worked so well and it eliminated nearly half of child poverty in America. Just that one bill. It was a stunningly effective portion of a bill, maybe one of the most effective in our lifetimes. So obviously both sides decided, no, we got to take it away right away, right away. That doesn't help corporations at all, it helps real Americans. Now, mainly the Republicans, but the Democrats were in charge, and of course they didn't fight back. They happily gave it away in negotiations with who? With Manchin and Sinema, not even with the Republicans, right? So this is a giant scam. So, but now Trump has learned nothing from it, because Trump thinks, and this is the main question. Trump thinks there's no end to how much my voters are suckers. I'll sacrifice programs that go straight to them and are super popular, so I can do another $4 trillion of tax cuts for my buddies that actually gave me all my money for the campaign and are greasing me in 8,000 other ways through my media company on the stock market, my meme coins, all the different scams that I'm running. So we're gonna find out if independents find out, if MAGA finds out at some point that they're getting robbed. And
I mean, they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it when they file their taxes, and they're like, oh wow, I'm paying more in taxes, and I'm a low income earner, middle class earner. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get that child tax credit ripped away from you if congressional Republicans manage to pass this legislation and Donald Trump signs it into law. There's more. So who else would this impact the most? The working and middle class, according to the Tax Foundation. The after-tax pay of people with incomes between the 20th and 80th percentiles, those making between $14,000 and $100,000 a year, would fall by the highest percentage. Okay, your take-home pay is going to drop significantly, so these corporations can save on their taxes. So their corporate tax rate can go from 21% to 15%. And by the way, let's not forget that they get to take advantage of all sorts of sweet little deductions, corporate tax loopholes. So their effective tax rate will likely lead to them getting a refund from the federal government. Okay,
so guys,
literally.
The numbers Anna just read you, that is the very heart of the American middle class. So your taxes are gonna go up.
Yep.
And the taxes for the super rich and for corporations are gonna go down. So now I'm curious, which right-wing media lies to you and pretends that the tax cuts are for the average guy as it gets funneled to the rich?
The ones with the millionaire hosts.
Yeah, for sure. Is it gonna be all of them? Is it gonna only be some of them? I don't know. Is the internet now open enough that people are checking out other shows so they actually get real information? Because I know they stopped believing in mainstream media a long time ago, and I get it because mainstream media burned every piece of trust they had by defending these corrupt politicians nonstop. But I'm so curious to see, on Gaza I have some hope, on this I have less hope. Is MAGA one day gonna wake up and go, oh, Trump is also a politician?
And I don't even know if Trump, honestly, Cenk, so I hear what you're saying, because I do think that there are a lot of people who voted for Trump, part of Trump's base, who would hate this. And they might actually protest it aggressively. I don't know if Trump cares. At this point, it appears that he's gung-ho on increasing his own, financial opportunities, lowering his own taxes. You think what he's trying to do in Gaza isn't something that's gonna lead to a financial benefit for himself?
Yeah, no, I hear you. But that's the thing in Gaza is so fanciful. That moron thinks you're gonna ethnically cleanse 2 million people, but they're not gonna object at all. It's not gonna create any conflict. And he's such a sucker. Does he believe that Netanyahu's really gonna give the Gaza to us so that Trump can build on it? Maybe they'll give Trump and Kushner some portion of the real estate and he'll get rich that way. So guys, the bottom line is, I can see, Anna's right, I can see MAGA getting upset and maybe moving our position on Gaza because we're directing so much money to a foreign government and that affects America first. On this, you're right, even if they notice and they get angry, you will not be able to stop this. Because what's the one piece of major legislation that Trump passed last time around? Tax cuts for the rich and corporations.
Yeah.
So and I told you in the lead up to the election 1,000,000 times, if you elect Trump, a couple of trillion, this is not the robbery, there's a different robbery happening, but a couple of $1 trillion at a bare minimum, now at least 4 trillion are gonna go to the very richest people in the country and it's gonna come out of your pocket. So this train is unstoppable. And remember, almost everyone in Congress actually secretly loves this robbery.
Absolutely, okay? I don't believe for a second that the majority of Democrats are against this. I'm just keeping it real. Currently, parents get a tax credit of up to $2,100 for child expenses. The House Republican plan floats the elimination of that break entirely. The cut is estimated to save $55 billion over a decade. So we're gonna force you to have kids if you accidentally get pregnant. We're really worried about the birth rate. Also, we're not even gonna help you in terms of a tax benefit if you do decide to have children. I mean, it's amazing. And that is interesting because literally last week, Vice President J.D. Vance said the following: "It is the task of our government to make it easier for young moms and dads to afford to have kids." Now, J.D. Vance didn't propose this. This is congressional Republicans. But I'm not hearing protests from J.D. Vance, and I'm certainly not hearing any protests from Donald Trump. So we'll see if he signs these types of policies into law, but just a few more details about what we know so far. So they're also planning on cutting funding to Medicaid. Medicaid is a statewide healthcare program for low-income people so they can access healthcare. And so according to an analysis by KFF, the deep cuts to the program floated in the document include slashing reimbursements to the states. States would need to raise new revenues to reduce Medicaid spending by eliminating coverage for some people, covering fewer services, and or cutting rates paid to physicians, hospitals, and nursing homes. So get a load of this. We pay our taxes, right? Taxes go to the federal government, and then the federal government, as part of the Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act, provides additional funding to the states that was originally money that we paid to the federal government in order for them to expand their Medicaid services so people who can't afford health care have some coverage. Do you guys understand what's happening here? So we're paying more and more in taxes, ordinary working class Americans, and we're getting less and less in services based on the way congressional Republicans are drawing up this legislation. And that infuriates me beyond words, okay, beyond words. So meanwhile, for the ultra wealthy, the document floats eliminating the federal estate tax at an estimated cost of $370 billion in revenue for the government over a decade. The tax, which charges a percentage of the value of a person's fortune after they die, kicks in only for estates worth more than around $14 million.
So 55 billion from the people who need it the most. And that's theoretically paying for the 370 billion for the ultra wealthy. So taking away the 55 billion, they know isn't going to pay for it anyway. It's just a way to punch the middle class in the mouth, but then and the poor, so that they could say, oh, you see that they were cheating, and some of them would guarantee they were a woke thing at Medicaid, and then they were bums, and we're saving you a lot of money. We're saving. That's why doing the estate tax deduction for the richest people in the world. And don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We did the Medicaid deduction, and we took it away from your babies. The child tax credit, we took away from the middle class, so it's okay. No, it doesn't come close to paying for it. That's why the debt went up by $8.4 trillion last time Trump was in office. I mean, an unbelievable number. Added 40% to the national debt in just 4 years. And he's gonna do it again, and almost none of it is gonna go to you. It's gonna go to the very richest people in the country. So if you hated the establishment, this is the establishment on steroids. This is the elites on steroids. None of this is remotely populist. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.